Hello, good morning, and welcome to Navigating the Future of Trucking and Transportation with me, your host, Jerry Banks. We are here every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. On this show, we talk about automation and autonomy, new technology, artificial intelligence, and all the things that are entering into the trucking and transportation industry because things are changing, and you as a driver, you as a transportation worker, you want to ensure that you're prepared for this new future that our industry is moving into. I also talk about traditional truck driving jobs currently in the industry, but also jobs in the autonomous sector where you can take your current skills and combine them with new skills that you learn and become a game changer for someone's company. And then lastly, on the learning lane, it's probably one of my favorite parts of the show. It's where I share actionable tips that you can take right now and start using. And these are tips like communication skills and teamwork skills, problem solving skills, how to prepare for a resume, how to prepare for an interview, and get ready to reskill and upskill yourself for the new future that this industry is moving into. Today on the show, I'm very honored to have our guest, Mr. Marshall Kaplan with Select Technical Institute. Marshall he and I met, and I have to tell you a short story. A few months ago, I was attending a career fair at my son's high school. And of course, I'm always looking for the transportation section in at the career fairs, at job fairs, anything that I'm going to. I'm always looking for that transportation aspect. Of course, medical. My mom, my entire aunts, all of them, they were nurses. I'm going to look at that. But my boys are all in transportation in some form or fashion, whether it's warehouse and logistics, whether it is trucking, I have a truck driver, or whether it's in aviation, I have two in aviation. And I always want to learn new things. I want to be able to share with them. And that is how and why I created this show so many episodes ago, to be able to not only help them, and if I was helping them, I was helping so many others in sharing this information. So at this career fair, Marshall was in the corner, and I saw him and I saw this big, sign, Select Technical Institute. And of course, I beelined right for Marshall and spent the entire evening talking to him and listening to the program that he has at his institute and all of the amazing things that they're doing for the youth that are wanting to enter into the industry and those that are already in the industry. And so, again, I'm so honored to have Marshall here. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring him up so that I can introduce him to everyone else. Hello, Marshall. Good
Good,
morning.
good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Awesome. I had to tell how we met. And I think I sat at the table with you that entire night, just listening to all of the stories and you talking to the kids. Kind of tell me about, well, let's just start and tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got to Select Technical.
Surely. So I was in education for 30 years. I was a high school math teacher, and then I became an assistant principal, then an associate principal, then a house principal. And I was I wanted to make it another 5 or 10 years in public education. I really did want to, but the last 5 years got so challenging. I would spend my summers praying.
Wow.
Like, Lord, show me my purpose. Do you want me to go back? I was in the trenches and it's hard. My hat's off to every educator, every administrator. If you're not in it, you have no idea. And every year I felt the Lord keep bringing me back. It's like, this is where I want you. And then this past summer, um, I felt a peace. and like a release from public education. And I didn't know where I was going to go next. I had no
Right.
idea, but when God told me it was time to go, it was time to go.
Yeah.
And I stayed around the house for a few months. I fixed and cleaned everything there was possibly to fix and clean. And then it was that my wife actually said, "So you thinking about going back to work?"
Mhm.
I was like, "Yeah, I think you think I need to go back to work." She said, "Yeah, I think you do." So it was almost instantaneously.
Wow.
Um, as soon as we made that decision, I prayed, God, bring me the right job. And it may have been within hours, if not a day or two, that Freightliner Western Star popped up that they were hiring a director for a new school. So I went and I met with the owners, wonderful Christian men,
Mhm.
and we hit it off right away. They told me they need someone to run a school. And I told them, I said, guys, I don't know anything about trucks. I know nothing
Yes.
about trucks, like nothing. And they said, don't worry about it. We just need someone to run the school. And then here I am.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's
That
amazing.
was
So
actually a year ago. So yeah.
a year ago.
Yes.
And so not knowing anything about trucks, I'm sure by
Mhm.
now you've learned a little bit about trucks by
The
now.
learning curve is through the roof.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's amazing. And so as the director of Select Technical Institute, what is your role there?
Everything. I'm a one-man show.
Okay.
So I spent the last year doing a lot of recruiting. I've been to every high school within a 10-mile radius, and we've got kids lined up to come into our school for the next 5 years in a row, actually. Um, and so recruiting is one big part of it. Another part of it is getting approved by the state. I didn't realize this prior to now, but but the Texas Workforce Commission, I always thought was strictly for labor, but
Mm,
the Texas Workforce Commission is the governing body of all career and technical schools in Texas.
right.
I didn't know that. So I had to complete an application for them, which was supposed to be a 6-month application. And it was 186 pages
Wow.
and information coming from just a whole surrounding of stakeholders. It's not like something I do on my own. A lot of big part of it is gathering information, delegating, and I was able to do it actually in under 2 months. And they came out and they said, here are the 21 points we're going to be inspecting.
Hmm.
And I slid a binder over to the lady and it had 21 sections in it. And she just flipped through it. She nodded. She was like, wow, I've never seen this before. She said, how did y'all do this? I said, y'all. And she goes, yeah, your team. How did you put this together? I said, no team, ma'am. But And I said, do not ever underestimate what administrators and teachers are doing in schools.
Yeah.
I said, this was easy compared to what we do. So
Wow.
we're licensed by the state,
Hmm.
and then we were able to open, and now our next step will be to be accredited. That's a
Amazing.
2-year process.
Okay.
So in 2 years, we should be accredited, which means we'll be eligible for FAFSA funds, and our website will change to a .edu and a few other things. That's my
Wow.
job.
That's amazing. That's
Yes.
amazing. You said it. Don't ever underestimate what a teacher can do. Don't ever
Yes.
underestimate what administrators and teachers can do. We
Mhm.
thank them because I understand, and I can understand how. Well, I can't because I'm not a teacher. I'm a parent, but I can understand how difficult it was for you to make that decision
Yes.
and transition to this new role. But
Yes.
this new role for you, and we've had this conversation several times because it's very similar to my role in what I do. It's ministry, and I'd like you to talk a little bit about that and that being a ministry.
Sure. And wherever our little 2 feet take us is where our ministry is. You see behind me, I've got Daniel in the Lion's Den, and
Yes.
I always keep a Bible on my desk, and I always keep a drawer full of Bibles. And anytime somebody opens the door, then I walk through it with them.
Yeah.
I let them know all about the love of God, the love of Jesus, what he's done for me. He saved my life, like literally, um, many times, really. And even when I was in a public school, I estimate that 20 to 30 students came into my office on a daily basis, and
Wow.
every one of them with a crisis. It could have been drugs or pregnancy or depression, suicide attempts, parental abuse,
Mm.
breakups are huge for teenagers. And um, I would always pray every time they came in
Mm.
because, it's a public school.
Yeah.
There's restraints.
Right, right, right.
And I would ask the Lord, and most of the time he'd say, just zip it, Marshall. But
Yeah.
sometimes I just felt like an overwhelming, um, tempting from the Holy Spirit.
Hmm.
It said point blank, Marshall, tell this kid right here what I did for you. And I did. And I would probably do that once, twice, maybe three times a week.
Wow.
And never, ever did it backfire on me
Wow.
because it was always spirit led.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I've sent hundreds of kids home with Bibles, prayed with so many kids, and
Hmm.
always with parent consent.
Of
Anytime
course.
I got the green light from the Holy Spirit, the first thing I'll do is pick up the phone.
Right.
And I would say, your child's in my office and we're discussing this issue, and I'd like your permission to minister to them and pray with them.
Hmm.
And 100% of the time, the answer was yes.
Wow, that's
And
amazing.
the Lord he uses us wherever he puts us. He uses me here to lead people to him.
Hmm.
Sometimes we get that low hanging fruit,
Yeah.
but most of the time we're just planting seeds and letting
Understood.
them know.
Absolutely. Wow.
Yes, probably hundreds and hundreds of Bibles have gone home.
Wow. We don't think about us not in the school system. We don't think about how what those kids are going through
Yeah,
and how they can be touched. And
yeah,
and I want to kind of talk about um, after school and after high school because
yes,
that I think what you're doing there at Select Technical Institute
yes,
because there's so many opportunities. College is not the journey for everyone. College isn't the journey. And making our children, our youth aware of the opportunities that are out there, that's so, so important. And
mhm,
so let's talk a little bit about your program and the alternative to a 4 year, spending 4 years, getting those loans, stacking them up. Let's talk about the alternative and going into the diesel technology pathway.
yes, ma'am. So, in the public education system years ago, the buzzword was college readiness, and the funding was college readiness. We would get stipends for every child that went on to college. And what I've seen happen in our country and in my personal experience is more and more students coming out of college with $100,000 plus in debt and no guaranteed careers. And so I wasn't the first one to pick up on that because then the focus changed from college readiness to CCMR,
Mhm.
college and career and military readiness.
Got it.
And now that's what you hear in high schools, is CCMR. And schools get funding for students that not only go into college, but go into the military and vocational schools. So now we see this big push for vocational schools. Career and technology departments in high schools are growing. They're building their own campuses
Right.
just for career and technology. And this is what we call the distribution and logistics pathway, or the
Mhm.
transportation distribution logistics pathway. So when
Right.
students go into high school now in Texas, they choose a pathway, an
Mhm.
endorsement, similar to college.
Mhm.
And if you choose the transportation distribution logistics pathway, you can funnel yourself into here. Um, Trucking is the backbone of our country.
Mhm.
Once upon a time, it was probably railroads, but it's trucking. There are no railroad tracks or landing strips behind HEB or Walmart.
Yeah.
But everything that any of us right now who are viewing this, anything we can see or touch came in on a truck.
Absolutely.
And so I'm just so honored and blessed to have been placed into this arena that I knew nothing about. I hardly used to notice 18-wheelers on a highway. Now they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And Freightliner, whom I work for, we have 42% of the market share
Mm.
of those diesel trucks on the highway. So basically, almost
Yeah.
half of them are
Are
Freightliners. I
Freightliners.
went to the movies, took the kids to see Inside Out, and
Mm-hmm.
there was a preview for a new Transformers movie.
Oh, wow.
Sure enough, what's on? If you ever notice on Transformers, Freightliner. Yeah,
Wow. I never noticed that.
yeah. Optimus Prime is a
Optimus
Freightliner.
Prime, he's a
He's
Freightliner?
a Freightliner.
Wow.
Isn't that great?
I'm gonna look at that the next time I
Yeah,
watch that movie. That's
yeah.
amazing. So now you're riding on 45 or 610 and you're pointing out the Freightliners. You're picking them
Hmm.
out. That's
Yep.
amazing. That's amazing.
Yes.
And I just believe that, you know, the kids need to learn about these fields. They need to know about them. Transportation has never been glamorous. It's never been a field that, someone said, oh, I want to grow up and, go into transportation.
Yeah.
But it is a great place to be. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And you're right. Everything that we get, everything in my office, in your office, in our homes, the only way that it has gotten to us is by truck. And
Right.
so, yeah, so I'm just super glad that you're here. I want to kind of talk about the program. What can students expect, and who is your ideal student to enroll at Select Technical Institute?
This program is a game changer. I've got 18 young men out there.
Wow.
There will be men and women.
Yes.
We have a female starting in October.
Nice.
So these are people who otherwise they weren't college bound in high school. They absolutely
Mhm.
weren't college bound. And they probably would have gone into a mom and pop garage and be making, 10, $15 an hour, $20 an hour the rest of their lives. So what Freightliner has done is offered them an amazing opportunity. So we just talked about how many trucks are in our country.
Mhm.
Well, there's a shortage of diesel mechanics to work on the trucks of 250,000, 250,000 people shortage on diesel mechanics. And actually, we call them diesel technicians now,
Yeah.
due to the fact that we'll probably talk later about the autonomous and the electrical vehicles.
Mhm.
So many of the diagnosis and repairs that are done are just done by hooking up the laptop through a cable into the engine.
Yeah.
An estimated 40% of the diagnosis and repairs are done on a laptop. So they're diesel technicians. Um, we have given kids an opportunity to guarantee them a career, give them a free education, and pay them while they're in school. It's just crazy.
That's
So
phenomenal.
it's a 4-month program. So we have 3 a year. We started our first one on June the 10th. It was 5 years in the making.
Wow.
The owners of this company they realized the shortage of technicians and they had a vision. And they said, you know what? If I can't get my own technician, I'm going to produce my own.
Mm.
So they built the building and they hired me. And we started our first cohort 2 weeks ago on June the 10th, 2.5 weeks ago. It's a
Wow.
4-month program. They will get certifications in heavy duty engines
Mhm.
and on the chassis part. So they get certifications. We pay them $14 an hour while they're in school.
Okay.
We're paying them to come to school.
Yeah.
14 bucks an hour. It is a $40,000 tuition. However, the student never sees the tuition. They don't have to apply for it. We don't run their credit. We don't look at their parents' income. They sign a contract saying that they commit to work for our company for 4 years after graduation. So it's a loan forgiveness program.
Got it.
So we pay the 40,000. We pay them $14 an hour while they're in school. And then at the end of the 4 months, these kids will graduate on Friday, October the 4th. Then they will work for Freightliner, starting out at least $40,000 a year. And they will definitely make their way up to 6 digits. We've
Amazing.
got approximately 90 technicians currently on staff, and over a dozen of them are making about 150,000 a year
Wow.
as technicians.
Oh, over 90 technicians and over a dozen of them are making over $150,000 a year.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. And
And
that's these kids' future.
wow, what's the average tenure of, let's just say, the technicians that are there already making that type of money?
Um, Probably to hit 6 digits, if you have the aptitude, the character, the desire, the drive, it'll probably take 5 to 6 years.
That's
But
that's 4
it's
years of college and a little bit
yeah,
of an apprenticeship. Yeah.
zero
And you're
college debt.
hitting and
These
you're
guys have
hitting
no
6 figures.
college debt.
Wow.
Well, even and of course they'll have to have tools, and tools can go into the tens of thousands of dollars.
Mhm.
But we offer them a tool package after they graduate, and they'll get the tools for 50%, and they pay it over a 2-year period, $20 a week, so they
Wow.
don't get hit for tools either. Yeah.
So the tools are included and that just comes out over the period, the 4-year
Yes,
period.
ma'am.
Wow, that's amazing. Tell me a little bit about the age range, but you also said something that was very important, the character and the aptitude. What are those other skills?
Yeah,
Because you can teach them how to work on the trucks and how to repair them. But what are those other skills that aren't written down that your school looks for in an individual?
that's right. That would be it. The character,
Mhm.
the commitment. We don't want somebody starting this program and not finishing. We don't want them. It's got to be a passion of theirs. You know, I've got I've got a waiting list of close to 200 people for the
Wow.
next year.
Wow.
But a lot of those people have just come in off the street and they're like, I've tried to get a job other places and I couldn't do it. So I think I'll give this a shot.
Yeah.
That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for young men and young women who are like, my dad was a mechanic, my uncle was a mechanic. I grew up with greasy hands, and this is it. This is what I'm doing the rest of my life, whether I do it with you or somebody else. That diesel mechanic is for me. So we're
Yeah.
really looking for that passion.
Looking for that passion, definitely.
Yes.
And what's the age range that you currently have in your class? And is there an age range that you look for from enrollees?
Yes. Good question. So the state of Texas requires that any student for a career and technical school is 18 years of age minimum,
Mhm.
is a U.S. citizen, and has a state issued ID. So that being said, I most of my recruiting is by going out into the school districts. And I go into all the auto tech classrooms. I go to the CTE department, advisory committees. I've been invited to most of the surrounding school districts' advisory committees. Sheldon ISD, who is right next door. We're on the border of Sheldon and Galena Park.
Mhm.
Sheldon has made us a partner in education.
Awesome.
So I'm going out there and I'm recruiting their high school graduates who have auto tech background
Mhm.
and also preferably diesel background, and but not just every one of them, but recommendations from their auto tech teachers. But we also have our website with a landing page, and then there's word of mouth, of course. So I have 18 students. Um, 14 of them are 18 years old, right out of high school. I have 3 kids in their 20s, and
Mhm.
then our oldest is a 31-year-old.
A 31-year-old.
So mostly high school graduates, but not necessarily high school graduates.
Got it. Got it. We've got a question from a viewer. We're going to take a short break. And when we get back, we'll answer this question. And then I want to talk about autonomy moving into the industry, automation, and the future of transportation. Thank you, Marshall.
I'm Jerry Banks. Our agency focuses on driver recruitment and driver education. We focus on helping drivers and preparing them for the future of trucking and transportation as autonomous vehicles and automation enters the industry. Our goal is to ensure that you are equipped with the skills that you need to be successful in this new way of life. So make sure you connect with me across all of my platforms, Jerry Banks, Autonomous Trucking. I look forward to connecting with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for being here. Again, we are here with Marshall. Marshall Kaplan is the director of SelecTechnical Institute. It is a phenomenal program in Houston, Texas. Again, he just talked about the school districts that he's near, Sheldon ISD, Galena Park ISD, and the program that he has. Not only will you come out with a diesel certification, a diesel technician certification after 4 months, but you get paid $14 an hour to learn how to and get certified on becoming a diesel technician. In addition, their company will hire you. You go right to work. As soon as you graduate, you go right to work. There is a 4-year commitment, and he has a wait list right now. You said something earlier, Marshall, in regards to the future. And that's what we talk about on this show. That's what we share, and we prepare people to help them understand what that looks like. And you hinted on it, that 40% of the work of the diesel technician is done on the laptop in diagnosing. And kind of talk about the future of transportation and how Freightliner is preparing and equipping individuals for that.
Okay. I will speak about that minimally because I confess I'm not really well educated on the autonomous vehicles and the electric vehicles. My focus in my short amount of time that I've been in the trucking world has been on the current curriculum.
Got
I
it.
do know that electric trucks are a thing and the sales of them is increasing,
Wow.
and that there are autonomous trucks that are created and built that basically drive themselves, like some auto vehicles that are out there. So we are moving in that direction. I wish I knew more about it. There are men that and ladies that work here at our company that are experts on it. I know one of my coworkers just got back from Europe where he was looking at what they're doing over there with their autonomous vehicles. And we have I know that we do a lot of sales with California where electric vehicles are required. So it's on the increase. I don't know the details. I know my current curriculum here at my school does not include it, but I know that next year I am going to have to change it to include electric vehicles.
Wow.
Yes.
So it is that's perfectly understandable, because it is something that's very new. Not new from the sense of some of the software developers that are creating it, but new from the sense of the curriculums and things like that. But I understand. I agree that at some point your curriculum will definitely be changing. We've got a question from the audience. D1 Hornet says, is there some type of testing required to enter the program? Is there like a prerequisite from a testing perspective? Great question. Thanks so much for asking that.
Thank you. No, there is not. You have to be a high school graduate, and the rest of it comes from any kind of recommendations you may have from your educators, auto tech teachers, principals, teachers, and then I recruit the talent for the school. Now I bring the talent over to the service department. Because they're only with me for 4 months.
Okay.
But then after they leave me in 4 months, they're with those guys across the street for 4 to 40 years. And we do have a great retention rate at Freightliner. The environment is so wonderful. The morale is great. The culture is great that we have a very high retention rate. So, but when they come to us, I bring the talent over to the service department, and the service manager, assistant manager, and vice president over service, they actually do the interviewing and the final hiring of who will become the students, as they will soon become theirs.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Let's talk about the types of trucks. So you work on the Freightliners is what they learn on, and the Western Star. How difficult is it to get that type of certification?
And Detroit engines as well, which is what the Thomas buses are,
The
the
buses.
school buses.
Hmm.
And how difficult is it to get certification? It's rigorous. So these kids are, I am part of my daily routine that I didn't anticipate is to go in there each morning and each afternoon and encourage them and give them a pep talk.
Yeah.
The first week is straight web-based learning.
Okay.
So they're on the computer for a week, and it's hard. It's hard to focus that long. After that, then they start getting instructor-led training where the instructor walks them through it, and then it evolves into hands-on. So the first 2 to 3 weeks is a challenge. It's pretty rigorous. So we did bring one student on board this year, this first cohort. 1 out of 18 has absolutely zero mechanic experience. Knows
Wow.
nothing about cars, nothing about trucks. But when I was out in the schools and I met this young man, um, there's something special about him. And I brought him to across the street to the service managers, and they saw the same thing, and we brought him on. And so he's making his way through it, and it's a challenge.
Wow.
He did come to me and he asked me, he said, Mr. Kaplan, I don't know, I don't know what these guys know. Why'd you pick me? And I said, sir, because I saw a confidence in you and an ability to do anything you set your mind to. And I took you across the street, and apparently they saw the same thing that I saw because they chose you. And
Wow.
he's doing really great. He's just getting into the hands-on part now, and he came to me yesterday. He said it makes a lot more sense now that I can touch it. I was like, yeah, it had to be kind of abstract for you those first couple of weeks,
Yeah.
but it is rigorous. It's a challenge. I don't know if the content is that part of the challenge
Mhm.
more so than the maturity and the intrinsic motivation to
Mhm.
apply yourself doing the computer work.
So discipline is very important.
Yes,
Discipline is
absolutely.
very important.
Yes.
So you mentioned that they are in the school, and then after they leave the school, they go over to the service department,
Yes.
and that is under the dealership, which is Select Transportation.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the dealership. And I toured that facility with you a couple months ago, and it is state of the art. Talk a little bit about
It's
that.
crazy, right? So the analogy always comes to my mind is like a rock concert or any kind of concert, you know. You go to a concert and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's blowing my mind. And then you go home and you try to tell people about it and they're like, oh yeah, that sounds great. You had to be there, you know. So when when students come and they tour our facility, they go home and they say, Mom, Dad, I want to be a mechanic. I want to work for Freightliner. A lot of times the response they get from their parents is, no, you're not. But then I tell them, invite the parents. And after
Mhm.
the parents come see it, they're like, oh yeah, this is where my kid's working. So I've been told this is the largest dealership in the United States, maybe in the world.
Yeah.
It's a typical standard model of any dealership. You know, if you drive a Toyota and you take it in, you'll take it to the service department and they'll work on it. And then there's a parts department you may or may not notice where the service gets their parts from. And then while you're waiting on your car, you're probably going to go look at on the showroom floor and you're going to look at the new vehicles, stick your head in, smell the smell, say, I don't want to fix mine. I want to buy a new one. Or, and then off to the side is a used car lot. So it's
Right.
the same thing, only on steroids. It's
That,
ginormous. We're
yeah.
70 acres And there's not just that. There is a food court, 3 different restaurants to choose from, a model of like Jersey Mike's, a model of Mod Pizza, and a model of soup and salad and burgers. And that's for our employees, our customers, and our students.
Wow.
So the service department where my students will be working has 100 full-size bays for 18-wheelers. Interior, inside, climate controlled, so air conditioned and heated. So to be a diesel mechanic and work on a semi truck with air conditioning and heating is very, very rare. So
Wow.
it's a great opportunity. And
Yeah.
it's brand new, it's beautiful, and there's even a full-size gym
Yeah.
available to employees, not
Yeah.
to be used during work hours.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
work after work or during lunch.
That's
So
awesome. So
you name it, these guys thought of it.
they've got it. Wow. Wow.
Everything.
How long has the facility been open?
It opened, I think, February 19th
February of this year.
of
Yeah.
this year.
So,
That's the major facility. And
yeah.
then the school lagged behind a little bit, and the school opened on June 10th.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
5
So,
years in the making.
wow. That's amazing. They did an amazing job with that facility, the gym, the food court, the movie theater.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot the movie theater. How do you forget the movie theater?
How do you forget the movie theater?
And
Like,
a game room,
and the game room with
big
arcade.
pinball machines. Yeah, yeah, pretty
Yeah.
cool.
That's really cool. We've got a couple comments here. D1 says that's next level. Katrina Hawkins has a question. Are there any background restrictions in regards to criminal background, felonies, things like that?
Yes. So the students are not just students, they're also employees.
Mhm.
So it's kind of we're navigating new waters here. But as an employee, they have to go through a background check and a drug test, a drug screening. Drug screenings, probably not much tolerance on the drug screening,
Mhm.
but on background checks, it's not black and white. We are our owners have great hearts. You'll see them out mingling with the customers and the employees anytime, any day, and they believe in second chances.
Yeah.
So it's not black and white.
I love that. I love that.
Yes.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
So
that's a good question.
the owners, yeah, great question, Katrina. Thanks so much for asking that. The owners, tell me a little bit about how it is to work for them and to work at Select Technical Institute under the Select Transportation umbrella.
Gosh, it's just wonderful. And anybody you ask, there's only like 500 employees in the whole company.
Got it.
300 at this location, and then there's a couple hundred more in Victoria, Beaumont, Corpus Christi. And these gentlemen, you can't ask any employee, and you won't hear a negative. You won't hear a negative response. They will give you the shirt off their back, literally. There's testimony after testimony about employees that have gone through hardships,
Mhm.
and these guys take care of them.
Wow.
We have an employee Christmas party every year,
Mhm.
and I've only been privy to one of them.
Yeah.
And they just give gifts away, like big gifts to everybody. I tried to count up the value of the gifts, and I couldn't even do the math, and I was a math teacher. It was wonderful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Definitely sounds like a great place to work.
It
I love
is.
that. That's
It is.
amazing.
I'm so blessed. I'm so honored. I'm grateful.
Yeah. Like how blessed and to be able to leave the public school districts and then not know where or not know where you're going to end up, and then you end up here at this amazing place to work, and with sounds like you're surrounded by some really, really great people as well.
Yes.
That's
Leap of
awesome.
faith. Took
Now,
the leap-
go
like
ahead.
I said, I took the leap of faith,
Yes, definitely.
and he is faithful.
That is so true. That is so
Yes.
true. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, I want to talk about the long-term goals and the look ahead for Select Technical Institute. And we'll be right back in just a moment.
When it comes to autonomous trucks entering the trucking and transportation industry, up until now, you've only heard bits and pieces, news here, news there. There's been no centralized place for you to learn about autonomous trucks. Join me every Wednesday and Thursday and Friday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time as I share information, news, and education on how you can stay prepared for autonomous trucks and autonomy entering the trucking and transportation industry.
Thank you guys so much for being here. I want to thank our guest, Marshall Kaplan, Director of SelecTechnical Institute. He is here sharing a lot of great information about his place of employment, SelecTechnical Institute, being the director there, their program, and how the diesel technician, the diesel technology industry is a booming industry. And there is a shortage of over 250,000 diesel technicians. And so if this may not be the opportunity for you, you may not be in Houston, Texas. However, somewhere in your city, in your state, there's an opportunity for you to go learn how to become a diesel technician. And as Marshall talked about a little bit earlier, that role has transitioned from diesel mechanic to diesel technician. And it's more because 40% of the work that a diesel technician does is by laptop. It's done diagnosing. Kind of talk a little bit about that, Marshall, and what they're doing on the laptops. What type of diagnosing are they doing?
Oh gosh, I wish I could give you better answers. I'm not a trucking guy.
It's okay.
And I'm not the instructor. I'm learning. So I go in the classroom a couple hours every day and just observe.
Yeah.
So I know that in the simplest terms, and I didn't even realize this before I came into the industry, the truck is broken down into two parts. There's the engine, and then there's the chassis. So some guys are specialized in brakes and transmissions and things that has to do with the body of the truck, and then other guys are specializing in the engines.
In the engines. Wow.
Yes.
That's interesting. That's interesting to know. Being on the are they all based right there in the building, or are there some outside or that travel or anything like that?
Yes. So the trucks that are brought in to get service, when customers bring in trucks, they're bringing them into our facility. And that's where they're getting worked on. We do have other locations where other things are being done. Restoration of old trucks. There's also for the used car lot. You know, when a used truck comes in, then the mechanic has to work on that to get it sale ready. So there's those guys are going on different locations. So that's also an opportunity for our graduates. If they don't want to work here at this location, working on customers' trucks that are mostly under warranty, then there's other opportunities for them.
Got it. And you once told me that the Freightliner certification, like you have to have that certification to be able to work on Freightliners?
Yes. So we do everything here except manufacture the truck.
Right.
The truck is manufactured by a company called Daimler out of Portland, Oregon. And if you're going to work on a Daimler engine, which is what we are, while it's under warranty, you must be certified. So if a student were to go to another school and get an associate's degree in diesel mechanics, they would not be able to come over here and work on these warranty vehicles. They have to have the Daimler certification to work on the Daimler engine while it's under warranty. So that's what we provide to them. We provide the Daimler certifications.
Wow, that's amazing. What is the long-term goals for Select Technical Institute? What are we looking at long-term?
We are just infants and learning as we go. I do know that there's talk and a vision of housing in the future.
Wow.
And just a growing, an increase in the number of staff and instructors, and then therefore students. We keep the student-teacher ratio at 9-to-1 at max. We have a 9-to-1 student-teacher ratio, and that again goes back to the manufacturer Daimler. If you're going to receive the Daimler certification, there's actually different ratio requirements, student-teacher ratios, depending on which certification it is. But a vast majority of the certifications is a 9-to-1.
Mm.
So we don't let our classes get any bigger than 9, which
Wow.
limits us to 18 students currently. And as our instructors grow, then our student body will also grow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you definitely have room to grow, right?
Yes.
Right off of 90. So if you're familiar with Houston, they're right off of 90, Highway 90 near 610. That's right in the dealership alley. So you guys move from, where did you move from? And were you like busting out of the seams at the older location?
Yes. So I've been told that these gentlemen started 30 years ago by purchasing an abandoned Mercedes dealership.
Wow.
That's what I've been told, not sure of the facts. At 9550 North Loop, the 610 North Loop.
Mm-hmm.
It's right on the corner of where the northeast corner, where the North Loop, where you're heading east and all of a sudden it turns south.
Wow.
So that's kind of at the intersection of Wallaceville Road.
Right.
And as they grew, they started to acquire more and more property along the feeder road. And then across the street on the north side of the freeway, more and more property. And they were busting at the seams.
Wow.
When I first came here, before this facility was open, sometimes you could see a guy working on a truck outside in the parking lot because there wasn't enough room in the base. And they started this project about 5 years ago, and COVID hit, so it put a couple-year delay on it.
Right.
But it finally finished on February 19th and opened up. And we got all the space in the world now.
Yeah. You've got so much room to grow. I absolutely love the facility. When I pass by it, I'm like, I've been there. That's an amazing state-of-the-art facility. We have a couple of comments. Katrina Hawkins says, taking a leap of faith, such an inspiration. You are, Marshall, an inspiration. I just love your story. Thank you so much for being here and sharing that. And she also says housing would be huge. We may have some guys interested in the program, but they're here in Dallas.
Very good. Yes.
There's you've already got the wait list. And as you grow, you're going to continue to have an influx of ladies and gentlemen. And I say ladies because I want those ladies in that program as well. As you grow, we're definitely going to see the enrollment increase as well.
Yes. And I'm looking forward to the ladies. We had a young lady graduate high school this past May, but she didn't turn 18 until August. So she otherwise would have been in our inaugural class. But I'm really looking forward to her starting in October and really just paving a way for ladies to come.
Yeah.
It's going to be wonderful. I don't know if it's hit her yet, how important of a role she has as being the first female.
Yeah. Yeah. She has a very important role, and she's going to set the stage for more females to come into the industry there in diesel technology.
Yes.
I'm so excited about that. Awesome. Well, any last final thoughts that you'd like to share with us or leave with us in regards to your program, your faith, just any last thoughts that you'd like to share?
Wow. I think we've covered everything. I got to give all the glory to God at the beginning and the end of everything we do. Every breath we take, everything. He's placed us here. We're here for his purpose. We're on the path. We just have to open our eyes and ears and listen so that we don't take the long way.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, Marshall. I, again, am so grateful for you welcoming me into your facility, offering me an amazing tour. And it just started at that evening at the high school where I just couldn't leave your booth because I was so, inspired by everything that you guys are doing there and the way that you're paving for so many individuals. That is
Yes,
that is
ma'am.
so powerful for me. Again, thank you. SelecTechnical Institute, how you can reach them, their website. We're going to drop their website here in the comments in the chat. Their website is also here at the bottom. Again, Marshall, thank you so much. And we'll do this again. We'll do this again in the future. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you. My pleasure. My pleasure. Guys, thank you so much for being here. This has been an amazing show. Marshall is so full of knowledge, full of faith, full of ministry in serving and helping others. And that's how it should be. That's what we should be doing. We should be sharing our information, sharing our knowledge, sharing our love with everybody so that they can, in turn, be better, in turn be great, because so many things are changing. We see it every single day in our industry. No matter what industry you're in, we are seeing the changes. We're seeing new automation, we're seeing autonomy, we're seeing artificial intelligence in everything we do. And so it's up to us to learn. It's up to us to prepare. Don't wait for someone to give you anything. I've always said, if you allow someone to feed you, you'll also allow someone to starve you. So go out there and learn about the new opportunities that are in your area. Learn about the skills that you need to be enhancing, whether it's communication, whether it's teamwork, whether it's problem solving. Those are all skills that you need to be enhancing right now to prepare yourself and your career and your bills and your pocketbook for the future of trucking and the future of transportation. I'm Jerry Banks. Make sure, if you have not subscribed, if you are not connected with me across all of my platforms, make sure you are connected with me. Subscribe to the channel. We are here every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, right here. I'll see you guys tomorrow.